KFAN.
Brady's back! That's your quarterback! Holistic building! Unicorns! Show ponies! Where's the beef?
Yep, for sure. Those who listen to 9 to Noon know Scott Zolak, the analyst for the Patriots Radio Network, is one of our very favorites around here. All the way back to, what are you looking at, Beetle? Scott, it's awesome having you with us. And how much do you love calling New England Patriots games?
Not as much as I love listening to the Minnesota Vikings broadcast when Brett Favre was there on an NFC title game, and you gotta be kidding me, Brett Favre! It's the NFC Championship game. You can't make that throw. That's a Paul Allen legendary call.
Wow.
And we do it all the time on my show.
I can't believe what I just heard. But when you and thank you, when you call these Patriots games, man, I mean, obviously we got some Super Bowls. Obviously, your relationship with Tom Brady over the years is probably pretty deep. Belichick, you know Belichick inside and out, but things with the Patriots up until this year had been a little slow to go. Nevertheless, whether you're getting critical or whether you're celebrating, you love calling New England Patriots games, don't you?
Absolutely, and it's like painting a picture. Being a color guy, you got a much different job. Like you got to set the scene. You got to know what down and distance it is. What's the time? What's the formation? Who's touching the ball? I react to the play, good or bad. And if it's bad, it's going to be bad by me. There's no homerism, even though a lot of people do call me a homer, because I think we've had, 85% of the plays be good when Brady was here, and maybe 10 to 15 bad. So you got a lot of good calls. But when they're bad, I hammer them pretty good. And there's nothing better than calling an NFL game. You know that. Yeah, for sure.
What's it like working with the scholarly Bob Sosey, the play-by-play guy for the Pats, with his understated ways? You guys make the perfect team for Patriots radio. At least that's how I see it. What do you like calling games with Bob?
It's amazing. He puts so much preparation into it, and we're so different. We're like completely polar opposites, like the Odd Couple. But he knows exactly what's going on. He studies the game. This guy spends hours upon hours the prior week just walking around, taking pictures of wherever we're playing, and he sort of just digests everything. He's always got some tag at the beginning of the game, something important with the city that he slides in there. But Bob's been great. We've done 5 Super Bowls.
Wow.
I did one with Gil Santos. So, we're having a really good run, and it starts to feel like, boy, it was the end. The 2 back-to-back 4-win seasons. Yeah. And now we're back, baby. It feels like we're back at it again.
Scott Zolak was a quarterback in the NFL for almost a decade. What are some traits Drake May possesses that potentially can sustain and lead to not just being good, but being great?
He's uber competitive, first of all. I played against his dad, Mark May, in college. He went to Carolina. I went to Maryland. And he sees the field really well. And it's his second offense coordinator in 2 years with Alex Van Pelt. A year ago running the West Coast, and I think he's running a much more difficult offense with Josh McDaniels. I was in that offense, and it's a mental game. He's tough. He knows when to run. And, when he takes off, it's sort of deceptive running. It's straight up and down. It doesn't look like he's fast, but that kid can turn a corner, man, and it gives you another weapon. He's a great deep ball thrower.
Scott, did you in any way get to know Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell when he was drafted by the Pats back in 2008?
I did. I studied him from afar. Love what he's doing. He was in and out so quick, which was odd. They drafted him, I think, in the 3rd round, and right away he got cut less than a year. So, but he found his niche, man, coaching football, that's for sure.
And speaking of Vikings coaches, Scott Zolak is our guest 9 to Noon. What was it like working with Brian Flores when he was there? I mean, Brian's a calculated, cold-blooded customer, isn't he?
I would always be out on the road. When we go on the road, we'd hit one of those dive bars on the road. In the back corner where it's dark, you would be able to see Chad O'Shea, who was another one we had, another coach, Brendan. He's with Kansas City.
Brendan Daly.
And Yeah, Brendan Daly,
Yeah.
and of course you always see the blood cold killer right there. He was so good at calling defenses and blitzing, and when Coach turned over the defensive coordinator job to him, we got better. We blitzed more. We went on to win another Super Bowl. And I remember that last quarter against the Rams, and he sat him down, Brian Flores. He says, "Hey, we need 15 good calls, and this is a ball game." And that's amazing. I like Bill knew it, and it was 15 plays to win the game. He said, "Be on it, get your call ready, be ready to go." And he's a leader of men. His players love him. I know that.
And Scott, you know this better than anybody, but when you have a Super Bowl, all right, an extra time to plan. Of course, Vrabel and the coaches are going to look back at as much as they can from the Seahawks season. Well, there was a play in the third quarter, man, where, now granted, the Vikings got shut out by Seattle, but it was a relatively close game into the second half before a pick six to Ernie Jones. And the Patriots ran a play where they had 7 across the line of scrimmage, and it's the exact play the Vikings ran against Darnold earlier in the season and sacked him, and the Patriots got to him too. So, I mean, that was like a Flores special that was borrowed for the Super Bowl.
Copycat league, man. That's what you do. You study the film. We got 4 former head coaches on our staff. They work really well together. Like, that's the biggest difference. Everybody talks about Drake May. It's Mike Vrabel. He sets the culture. He sets the tone in the building. His energy is amazing. It's infectious. And he works really well with his staff. He gives them a lot of credit when things get done.
Hey, Scott, what recently, or actually yesterday, what do you think about the Ravens rejecting the Max Crosby trade?
Did they not know he was hurt?
Right.
And coming off a meniscus surgery? Like, what did you expect him to be at? That's the confusing part to me. Like, I don't know. Somebody got cold feet on that one. This is weird because this really screws the Raiders.
Yeah.
They just had $60 million to the center. So all of Max's money came off the books. And now all of a sudden, you owe us money to spend. Now they got to play nice and say, "Can we get him under the cap and renegotiate?"
Wow.
Max holds all the cards now.
Yeah.
Screws the Raiders. Good.
Yeah, and I don't know how good Draymond Jones is. We're in NFC territory. I know he's decent, and he just got paid a little bit. But like Draymond Jones left because they thought they had Max Crosby.
True, and I don't know much about Draymond. Like, he sacked Drake May twice for 2 different teams.
Jeez.
So he played for the Titans and for the Ravens, and I really don't remember much about it.
Yeah.
When I studied the defense, I know the corners, I know the safeties, I know the middle linebacker. The games become so rotational. You know what I'm talking about. You see 5 guys come off, 5 go on. You got to allow them to substitute, and it's that whole back and forth. I can't keep track of which edge guy or which, unless it's Myles Garrett. I'm going to not remember some of those.
Yeah. The Scott Zolak, analyst for the Patriots Radio Network, 9 to noon with a football covenant catch-up. The Minnesota Vikings are at Gillette Stadium next year. If the Vikings end up with Kyler Murray a quarterback, how do you think that'll work out?
Not great.
Why?
Not great. You read a lot of stuff on him. Didn't study, didn't go to film. Coaches got on him for that. He's a couple of years into this thing now where he should be rolling. Now, he's athletic. He blew his knee out the game we called against him. I've only called one game against him. But, it's just, when you're not on a good team, you're a big stat guy. So you're going to have your 300, 350, 400-yard games. You're going to run spread because you got the receivers there. I'm not a big fan. I liked what you had in Sam Darnold. Probably should have kept him. But it's revisionist history, right?
Well, yeah, but we're going to get to Darnold here in a second. I only have 3 left for you. When calling New England Patriots games, which team do you most enjoy the Patriots beating?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably the Jets. We like nothing but the Jets. We dislike the Jets so much. Since our playing days, they just do stupid things every year. There's another spin cycle. Geno Smith's back there now. Like, what the hell are they doing? It's fun beating Miami. I thought you were going to ask me what's the most fun team to call games against, I was going to give you the Steelers. I'm a Pittsburgh kid. I love going back to Heinz Field to call games there. Great environment.
Was Diggsy, Stephon Diggs, was Diggs a handful last year for the Patriots, and were you surprised he was released?
Just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. There was that incident on the boat before he even came up here last spring.
Right.
And since the phone call was made, he got his butt on a flight, got up here, and he was nothing but a complete leader, a locked-up guy, energy guy, pumping up everybody on the sideline. They loved him. Mike Vrabel loved him. When your money goes up to make it 26-27, and you just don't have the burst you had, our problem is he had to be so much better than all other guys. And he was, but in the playoffs, it was very limited production. The ability to separate. If it's zone, he's a zone killer, man. He was so good against zone. But we love having him, man. I wish he could be back.
Last one here for Scott Zolak, lead analyst for the Patriots Radio Network. You mentioned Sam Darnold, all right? And as I said earlier, myself, the producer Nordo, and a bunch of people in this market, man, we're fans of the way you and Bob call games, and we talk about it on this 9 to noon radio show. So I listened to you and Bob call a fair amount of the Super Bowl, and despite the outcome, you absolutely were expecting Sam Darnold to unravel, and he nearly did. I mean, you were into that, man. You were looking for it because you knew what you were looking for, and it almost got there, but it didn't. Is that a fair assessment?
Fair assessment. Quarterback hits. I knew they were going to go after him and give him problems. That's where he's uncomfortable. There were 3 to 5 throws in that first half. If our guys just turned to look at the ball, because they were right in the hip pocket, his ball's basically hitting our guy in the back of the helmet. I'm like, he's jumped today. And his first half was the bad half of football in the Super Bowl that you could watch. We were looking at some of the stats, and I remember asking Mark Capello, our stat guy, hey, what's Darnold right now? And he was 4 of 17 at one point in that first half. But Walker, that defense carried him, man. That's what won him that game. It's sort of like the one Peyton won out in Denver when his arm was shot. Wade Phillips and that defense carried him to the Super Bowl.
Zolak. What are you looking at, Beetle?
It's a Wild Wednesday on the Fan, and we got your shot at tickets to Wild v. Flyers tomorrow. Just use the iHeartRadio app, send us a talkback, and tell us which new addition to the team will make the biggest impact down the stretch. Winners will be contacted all day. Get the full details, KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Let's do a covenant catch-up with an old friend, Brandon Krisztal, at BK Denver Sports via the tweet machine, now with Gorilla Sports, and BK joins us now. Hey, man, it was great seeing you at the Combine. How are things?
Good, although 2 years in a row we have been like ships passing in the night, even though I'm at the Combine for almost 5 or 6 days every year.
Ooh.
I think I waved at you and talked to you for 2 seconds last year as you were running for a quick restroom break, and then this year I gave you a hug and you were jumping on air, and so we haven't actually been able to talk face to face, but it was great to see your face and give you a hug. So no, things are good out here in Broncos country. If the Nuggets can figure things out and the Avalanche keep doing what they're doing, as we saw against the Wild on Sunday. And by the way, they're talking about getting another major league team here in Denver again with the Rockies. So it's exciting. We could have a major league team sometime soon.
Hey, couple of things. I'm 60 years of age, so a short bathroom break no longer is the case.
I always love that one.
Secondly, what was this year's Combine? Because we saw each other by where the coaches, players, and executives speak. What was that the most frenzied, crowded Combine you've ever seen?
Yes, and here's the thing. So every team has a table now, because there were years, and I remember the very first Combine I ever went to, I think you were one of the 2 or 3 radio stations that, found their way down to Indianapolis. Not the longest trip for you, but not the shortest.
Yeah.
And that was all there was for Radio Row. But now, because every team has a digital platform and use the digital space one way or another, that's 32 more tables. Plus, we know that media has grown, and there's all these independent outlets like my own, let alone iHeart stations like the one in Denver, KOA, that I worked with forever, or yours. And so I think it's a lot of people. They say the space is bigger, but there's a lot more people, and it was more compact. So they had us closer to the prospects. I like the energy of that. It can be a little wonky because everybody has a camera and you're having to just figure out how to navigate it. And so it was frenzied, but I think that energy is good. I think about Super Bowls of the past, like, well, one of my all-time favorites, weather notwithstanding, Minneapolis at the Mall of America, being in that food court with all of us on top of each other, you just get that same energy. So even if you're not talking to Barry Sanders or Patrick Mahomes, well, they're sitting right next to you, so you can kind of talk about them and you kind of feel that, that buzz. And so I think that made an otherwise, we know that if the quarterbacks aren't sexy, the combine's never going to be as exciting as it could be.
BK, what is guerrilla sports?
And so that was our conversation that we had very briefly last year. Like, I want to hear more about guerrilla sports. It's a digital platform that does all the things that a radio or TV station would do, but without, an over-the-air signal. So we do a number of shows, including one with Woody Page called After the Horn. Jake Plummer does a couple shows with us. I do a show every Friday. I did during football season with Chris Harris Jr., the former Broncos corner. Chris Harris, Ryan Harris, Minneapolis native son, and Shelby Harris have done a show the last couple of years that I created called We're the Harrises. We have the best Avalanche coverage around by a mile. We cover the Nuggets. We cover the Rockies and CU and CSU. So we are covering everything in town and just doing it digitally on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that. And then obviously wherever you can hear your podcasts when we do our long form stuff, but we've kind of perfected the short form, clips as well, because we're a production company that started doing sports.
I love that. Now, locally, we have a former teammate here at KFAN, Darren Doogie Wolfson. Doogie is about as good in this market, this side of Michael Russo, who covers the Wild for The Athletic, when it comes to sourcing and just being in front of a lot of things with a lot of different sports teams. BK's like that in Denver, Brandon Krisztal at BK Denver Sports. And, I know the Broncos are the most popular team there, but I caught this little video clip that you did a few days ago. I think you made 5 predictions. At least 2 of them hit, but the
Three.
It was 3? Yeah, well.
3 out of 5, and the other 2.
Wow.
I think I was half right on.
Right.
Well, yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, you were loud on the J.K. Dobbins re-signing with Denver, and I'm not saying I didn't think it would happen, but, you got loud about it. Clearly, the background or sourcing was 10 of 10, and he re-signed, so nice work on that. I didn't realize how good he was last year for the Broncos till he got hurt.
Yeah, he was clearly the most consistent part of their offense, only because Bo Nix was so up and down throughout games a lot, and then obviously so good in the fourth quarter throughout so many of their wins that, it often overshadowed the kind of pedestrian, if not even disappointing, first through third quarters at times that Bo had. And RJ Harvey is a rookie running back. We know that rookie running backs it's easy for them to get on the field, but for them to have really big success, that doesn't necessarily always happen. Unless they're just getting fed the rock consistently. But then once Dobbins goes down after that foot injury against the Raiders, then Harvey kind of took off because they had to utilize him more and saw how good he was after the catch. And so Dobbins continues to call all of these injuries fluky. And it was funny because week over week last year, somebody brought up you're injury prone. It's like, I'm not injury prone. It's like, I've had a few injuries. And they're like, okay, the knock on J.K. Dobbins was, well, was good at Ohio State, comes to Baltimore, but gets hurt. Then comes back, gets hurt again. Goes to the Chargers. Even, that really good year he had, he still missed 4 games, including one of the ones against the Broncos, that Thursday nighter where the Denver blew the 21-0 lead. And so he had his best career year ever 2 years ago and was on pace for an even better year. But then he goes down in early November on that Thursday nighter with the foot, the hip drop tackle. And then he was shut down. Basically, he thought he was ready to go even before the AFC title game. People close to him have told me, and they were just being cautious with them. And then maybe would he go in the championship game? Sean Payton said it was close, and we saw him work out. But then there was, I think, a slight setback late in that practice week, and they wanted him around. I don't know if he was truly plan 1A here, but he wasn't far from 1B or 2A in terms of what their running back, free agent approach would look like, knowing that Harvey was obviously going to still be here just going into year 2. And they wanted him to be healthy because they would love for him to play 17 games plus a handful of playoff games, obviously.
Hey, BK, is Sean Payton really going to let Davis Webb call plays?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, like the whole game?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of, hey, what do you think about this here? Or, you might want to look at that here. I'm actually really fascinated by this all the way around. I don't know this for a fact by any means, but I'm not sure this was 100% Sean's complete idea. I'm not saying that owner Greg Penner said, hey, Sean, why don't you have Davis call plays? I think that there were probably open-ended conversations. I do think Sean in the middle of the year when the offense was struggling at times probably thought, okay, maybe I should see what Davis can do. I mean, it's what he told us at the combine. And Davis is kind of a one-of-one type person in that, first of all, he's an outstanding hockey player as a kid in Texas, scored 10, 11 goals in games pretty frequently, I guess. He and had a choice between playing quarterback, but his dad was a high school coach, or sticking with hockey, so he chose the quarterback route. But, I mean, he started a game in the NFL in Week 17 a few years ago when the Giants actually made the playoffs. Not that a lot of people remember that. Daniel Jones sat, and he started that Week 17 game. And then as a quarterback's coach the next year for the Broncos in year one with Sean Payton here, and he's got every game plan he's ever had since high school or maybe even before that on spreadsheets and on files on his computer. And you talk to the quarterbacks, they love him, and talk to some defensive coaches with the team. They think that he's got a really creative mind. And so I think that Sean also is 62 years old and knows that he maybe isn't as quick as he was. Now, when I say quick, getting the play in and knowing what's coming next and looking ahead, because at 62, your brain may just not fire the way it once did when you were 52 or 42. And so that's not a knock on Sean, but he always talks about Bill Parcells. We hear about Bill Parcells probably once a week, PA, and Bill Parcells didn't necessarily call the plays. Now, he made sure they were running the plays he wanted. I think about Mike Vrabel in that AFC title game. I'm not sure Josh McDaniels would have run it 9 straight times coming out at halftime, but I have a feeling Mike Vrabel said, hey, we're running it, so just keep running the football. And so I think with Sean, he's going to let Davis, I think, learn on the job. Now, will it surprise me if come week 2, week 3, week 4, they struggle and Sean gives us in press conference, well, that was Davis's call. And kind of, I've got to let him, run his own race kind of thing. I wouldn't be blown away if Sean gave us some of that, but I think he can't take it back from him in week 2 or 3 or 4 if they're struggling. I think this is a year-long thing because they saw Davis getting all these looks, and I think that whether this was said publicly or just thought like, hey, if he's going to go be the head coach of the Raiders and we're going to see Davis Webb beat us for 10 straight years, Sean, we're never going to let you live it down. Again, this is me reading between the lines. So I don't think he would have done this for anybody. I don't think he would have given it over to Joe Lombardi or Pete Carmichael, his longtime assistants who are no longer with the team. But I do think because of how unique Davis is and how they view him, that Sean was comfortable doing this at this point in his career, and it might make him a better head coach because he's never really had the chance to, during the game, talk to the defensive coach a little bit more, talk to the special teams coordinators a little bit more, and not be thinking about what comes next or what he might be seeing out there that he can suggest, hey, Davis, it looks like they're playing so-and-so a certain way, or look what they're doing with that safety. We should probably look at this. I think it could make him potentially a better head coach.
Brandon Krisztal at BK Denver Sports. I'll learn more about guerrilla sports via his X site at BK Denver Sports. I want to backtrack for a second. Because you were kind of going over the landscape of Denver sports and Broncos country and Nuggets and the Rockies will be bad again. But then you kind of flippantly said, and the Avalanche, are super good. Just ask the Wild, or as the Wild saw Sunday. You don't for a second think the Minnesota Wild can't beat the Colorado Avalanche in a 7-game series, do you?
You think I don't think that they could? I think they definitely could, right? This is the NHL. And, you got obviously, guys like Matt Boldy and a really good team there. There's a reason that they're right in the mix with the Stars, and even, certainly in it, the Avalanche can see the Wild in their rear view. They can't, necessarily see the other teams out west, whether, you're talking about the Ducks and the Oilers and Vegas. But when you're talking about 87 points, no, the Wild absolutely could beat the Avs in a 7-game series. And this convoluted playoff setup with the NHL, where it feels like the NFL stumbles into getting things right all the time, and the NHL gets in their own way on stuff all the time. And the fact that the Avs in round 2 are going to play the Stars or the Wild, and if I'm not mistaken, don't the Stars and Wild, won't they play in round 1?
Yes.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
I know. Ridiculous.
I know, but those are the rules, man, and so you got to follow them and do the best you can. The Wild have 2 games left this year with the Stars, and hopefully there's some tone setters. Now, to basketball, Is this just not the Nuggets year? Or, I mean, it's a very good team. They've gotten themselves healthy. Jamal Murray looks like he's playing on one leg, but he's playing. Aaron Gordon just came back, Joker's MVP guy the minute the schedule comes out. You got Watson and Strother and Christian Brown and so on. But for some reason, they just can't seem to get traction. Is that fair?
Well, you say that they've gotten healthy. When you say they've gotten healthy, it's been in the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. Before Aaron Gordon came back the other day, they'd only played 13 games with their penciled-in starters, which is Murray, now finally an all-star in year 10 or whatever. But he was on that short list of best players to never be an all-star. But Murray, Christian Brown, who missed a bunch of time. He's never missed time in his whole career, going back to, even as a kid in high school, college, he never missed any time. And so that's been an adjustment. Aaron Gordon was hurt most of last year, including late in the playoffs, and was hurt most of this year. And then Cameron Johnson, who they traded Michael Porter for, he's been hurt a bunch as well. And Joker missed a whole month, which is something we've never seen.
Yeah, good point.
So they haven't been truly healthy, and they're still obviously kind of hanging around. They looked good against the Lakers, closed them out, looked like garbage against the Knicks the next night, and then went and played OKC tough again, but blew a 16-point lead. And this is the fifth time this year, which has never happened since Joker's been on the team, even when they weren't necessarily good yet, where they've blown 5 16-point leads. And so it has people saying, well, did you move on from Michael Malone too fast? Was David Adelman just handled the job? I don't think either of those things are true. I think that the message has maybe gotten stale with Coach Malone. I think David Adelman is a good coach and is going to become a better coach.
Agreed.
But there are growing pains. And then, Peyton Watson's missed now most of the year. So if they can put it all together,
okay,
I like their chances to make noise in the playoffs. The problem is they're currently a 6 seed. And if they goof around, they could drop into the play-in. And just like we're talking about, could the Wild beat the Star or the Avs or the Stars? Absolutely, more easily. But in those play-in games, as a 6 or 7 or 8, you're going to get 2 shots at it. But then you're going against the number 1 or 2 team. So look, they're just a couple games away from. They're a game away from being the 3 seed also, and they're going to see the Rockets and Kevin Durant in town tonight and company. So they could jump to the 3 seed here in the next day or two. But the T-Wolves are obviously right there. I think they might be done with the T-Wolves after that game the other day, which is so weird because we're used to so many March and April games mattering in that series. And I think they maybe have one more left with the Thunder. If not, they might be done with them too. So weird scheduling. But the Nuggets, if they can get healthy, and it's still a big if, it's certainly a big if with guys like Aaron Gordon, then they will be a very, very tough out, just like we saw last year where they took the Thunder to 7 games.
How good is Bo Nix, and how good can he be?
How good is he now? You remember how good Derek Carr was before he got hurt and they were going to the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about how good he is now. The different kind of player, but okay, he is getting his team to the playoffs, and it would have been fun to see him in the AFC title game against the Patriots. It was obviously an ugly game, and the weather made things almost unwatchable. And then who knows what would have happened in the Super Bowl? Would they have won? I don't know. Would have been closer. The Broncos O-line's better, and the Broncos defense is better than the Patriots. So that doesn't mean they would have been the Super Bowl champ. I think that when you hear the comparisons to Drew Brees, they're not the same kind of player, but they do have that same kind of supercomputer brain that Sean Payton and quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators love so much, and head coaches for that matter. And so he can make pretty much all the throws. He doesn't look like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, but the ball gets there. He's had a couple passes in his first 2 years that have been near the top, if not, I think, number 1 in air yards on a pass to Marvin Mims that traveled 67 air yards, I think, either against the Bengals or the Browns last year. So he has a better arm than people think. He's faster than even the Broncos realized, and he processes things really quickly. Going back to that game where J.K. Dobbins got hurt, there was video, or you caught it if you're watching on Amazon Prime, of him yelling at Sean Payton, "Get your effing personnel in here," because he just wants things to go a little faster, because he can get to the line of scrimmage and diagnose things like so many great quarterbacks can do. So I think his ceiling is in that Drew Brees level of production in a Sean Payton offense, and his floor right now is Derek Carr before the injury. And you look at Bo, he just had a baby a couple weeks ago, and there was a picture of him carrying his baby girl out of the hospital. No ankle brace on, no cast, no walking boot. And he said that it was a pretty straightforward procedure with his broken ankle. So will he be in the same category? Sean Payton said in the next couple of years he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I'm not ready to go there, but it feels like even at the top with guys like Lamar and Josh Allen and even Mahomes, we're not putting qualifiers in. Joe Burrow, can they stay healthy? What's going on around them? And I don't know what it takes. Mahomes maybe is still in his own category. You have to win to get there. And Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl, but I don't think if I told you could have Sam Darnold next year or Bo Nix, I don't know how many people, well, let's use the Vikings, and Sam was really good. But you say, okay, not just next year, but you get Sam Darnold or Bo Nix going forward. You've called Vikings games forever, and I know you like Sam Darnold. Would you rather have Sam Darnold for the next 5 years or Bo Nix?
Bo Nix. What about you?
That's probably the consensus. Well, he's probably in that second tier of like the Dak Prescott world in terms of how the league sees him. But nobody goes into a game against the Cowboys and think, oh, Dak's going to be the reason the Cowboys lose. Can he throw interceptions? Can he be bad? Sure. But it's that world of like Boomer Esiason, Randall Cunningham. Every Sunday you're like, well, this is the best guy. He's our guy. But Dante Culpepper, when he was obviously playing really well in his heyday, you didn't want to necessarily trade. You weren't trading Dante Culpepper for Donovan McNabb when they were going toe to toe kind of thing. That's how Bo Nix feels right now. You win a championship or two, and that's still again a team thing. That might change the way people look at him, and if his numbers continue to be good, he's got more wins in the first 2 years of his career than anybody, I think, all time, or tied with Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson.
Yes,
and I get there's 2 more games, but still, it's pretty impressive.
All right, 90 seconds, you get it all. What's the @BK Denver Sports or Gorilla Sports take on what happened between the Ravens and Raiders and Max Crosby?
I think that a couple things happened. One of them is they realized they could get Trey Hendrickson and keep their 2 first-round picks. They realized the way the rules are set up, they can get a deal done, but until it's officially official, they don't have to do it. Max is 29. I mean, Trey Hendrickson's what? He's got to be 30 or 31, if I'm not mistaken. But they can control that more easily. And I think that, the Ravens, the old Ravens never were going to make this move. Ozzie Newsome's still in the building. Eric DeCosta obviously has come up under Ozzie and they still work really closely together, even if Ozzie's just a consultant. And so I think that I guess I don't know if it was Max's knee. Like his knee's not going to pass a physical right now, but it's the early part of March. It's March 11th. It'll pass a physical come September 10th or 11th when the season starts. And so I think they're 12th or 13th. I think that they just had some buyer's remorse and realized Hendrickson was out there for about the same money, but they get to keep their first round picks, which is something that they covet because the Ravens and PA, you've done this a long time. They draft better than anybody, or they certainly have over the last 20 years. And so to give up 2 picks, I think was probably too much for them to swallow. And it might be that easy, but it's going to certainly, I think, give them a bit of a black eye with how the league's going to deal with them in the short term, perhaps.
It's dirty. I mean, the whole thing's dirty. But we could chat about that some other time. Hey, great chatting with you, man. Let's do it more often. Safe travels, all right?
I'm available. I'll see you soon, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you. Brandon Krisztal @BK Denver Sports. Back to close the show after
Fan. I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow.
Hey, Brent here from Rosemount. Been a lifelong Vikings fan, 30 plus years. What's wrong with sticking with J.J. McCarthy? Worst case scenario, we get a top 5 pick next year. Best case scenario, he brings us to the playoffs, and we know we got our guy for the next 10 years. Am I missing something here?
Well, that's a terrific question. Now, the worst case scenario, you're awful, super bad, and you get a top 5 pick. Have a private conversation with Justin Jefferson about that. So it just ain't going to work. So clearly there are things with the maturation and or development of J.J. McCarthy that seems to be causing the team pause. So it's perplexing. That's the best way I can answer it right now, not being around there frequently. But later today, when the first official day of the league year commences, well, that's when Kyler, Kirk, and whomever watch officially begins. 9 to noon. We will opine with whatever happens or doesn't happen tomorrow from Box in the Box.
This is Andy from South Minneapolis. Why do I just have the feeling that Kyler Murray is going to be a disaster? Maybe not Josh Freeman level disaster, but just a disaster. And I really wish that I'm wrong. I will eat my words happily if he leads us to the promised land, but it just doesn't feel right. Period.
Man.
Appreciate the talk back, brother.
Sun's out. It's supposed to be, come on.
Yeah, that's and that opinion has been formulated. There also are those who will see the dynamic nature of Kyler Murray's highlights on social media machines, and they'll be like, yeah, don't just give 1 and 1, give 5 and 100, or 3 and 100. It's Kyler, for me, as I said earlier, always has been a tough figure. He's always been a tricky figure. You know, I've called several Vikings games against Arizona and Kyler Murray. So then you learn a lot from, you know, those with staffs about certain positive and negative things. There have been so many games, there have been a fair amount of games where I and we think, all right, he ain't going to beat you. He ain't going to beat you. Look at this. And then all of a sudden he beats you. So he has that gamer gene to him. And that's not, that's not a sidewinding Call of Duty contractual joke. He has game to him. I just, like I've said during the course of the last weekend, I just can't wait for it to be over. So we know what it looks like and we can start formulating opinions. And when we formulate opinions involving refrigerators, we send you to Steve's Appliances, reminding you marathon segments 9 to noon are courtesy of Steve's Appliances. Anniversary sale taking place right now. Mounds View, 7,000 square foot showroom. Need a refrigerator? How about a Whirlpool fingerprint resistant stainless steel French door refrigerator from Steve's Appliances? $1,100 off. It's less than $2,000. Fast delivery, free recycling, guaranteed low prices. StevesAppliances.com. Thank you. We are guaranteed to be at TRIA in St. Paul tomorrow for Vox in the Box with Heinze, Billy G, and more. For Nordo, I'm Paul Allen. God bless you and your families. Thanks for listening.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.